What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're gonna take a look at this 2022 BMW M440i. Huge shout out and thank you to Hendrick BMW Northlake for providing this new BMW for today's video. Check out their website down in the description below. They have a huge selection of BMWs, so definitely check them out. So this is a super sweet spec. We got some carbon fiber and of course the powerful engine. Let's get right into it. And the model that we're looking at today is finished off in mineral white metallic, has the premium package as well as the M carbon exterior package, and has an MSRP at $70,500. Underneath the hood, the M440i utilizes a 3-liter inline 6-cylinder turbocharged engine that pumps out 382 horsepower and 368 pound-feet of torque. The engine is only paired to the 8-speed automatic transmission and sends the power to the rear wheels. And with a curb weight around 3,900 pounds, you can expect 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds with a top speed at 158 miles per hour. And then all running on a 15.6 gallon fuel tank, you're looking at 25 miles per gallon in the city and 34 out on the highway. The overall length is 188 inches with wheelbase at 112.2. Width is 72.9 and height is 54.8 inches. Taking a look at the exterior styling with this M440i, first and foremost, you're going to see the all-new kidney-shaped grille up front. It's a much more vertical shape comparing it to previous generation BMWs. You can see the satin trim all around it as well as the aggressive looking mesh, and this does feature active grille shutters up top to increase aerodynamics when needed as well as allow more cooling to the engine. You'll see the BMW laser headlights up front that have the daytime running light in them. They have a very sharp design and they light up in the white. And you're also going to see the blue trim around the projector beams and blacked out housings to give it a clean design. The front bumper has really sharp lines all around and more openings in the lower portion as well as the side parts of the bumper to allow maximum cooling. You'll see 4 parking sensors up front. This has ducts on the farthest sides of the front bumper finished off in that carbon fiber, and they allow air to enter the bumper and pass through out around the front tires. The front bumper has a lot of sharp lines in it, giving this an aggressive yet classy design, and it flows seamlessly into the hood. You can see the BMW logo up top in the front bumper, and then the sharp lines fading through the hood to really give it some extra style. And then moving to the side profile, this has a set of gloss black wheels finished off in black. They're a split 5-spoke design and even have a floating BMW central hubcap. Very cool option for this car. And then of course you can see the red painted calipers behind them. They contrast very well against the white paint. The overall side profile on the 4 Series has that fantastic coupe design where the roof slopes back into the trunk. You're going to see a lot of rounded body lines, especially around the front and rear fenders, to help give it that wider appearance. And then we get a nice sharp line in the center of the door to add some aggression. And then in the lower portion of the door, there's more sharp body lines and even a vertical line in the backside of these front fenders. You can see all the gloss black trim around the windows as well as the carbon fiber mirror caps with LED turn signals all integrated. And then moving towards the rear corner, you can see how that rear end bulges outwards, which adds a lot of style to this profile. Moving to the rear end, we get a carbon fiber lip spoiler on the trunk with the BMW logo and backup camera right in the center. M440i is over on the right side. And then this has a set of LED taillights. They feature a 2-tone design with the red and smoked out housings, and they protrude outwards quite a bit to give the rear end some width. The lower part of the rear bumper has some gloss black as well as a carbon fiber rear diffuser, and then more of that satin aluminum trim for the exhaust tips. There's 4 parking sensors back here, and then trim pieces in the farthest side to give it a wide rear end. So there's a good look at the exterior with this 2022 M440i. Comment below, what do you guys think of this spec? I really like the carbon fiber touches, and then those center hubcaps are really cool the way they are floating. We have BMW's key fob. If I tap the BMW logo, we can automatically lock the car, and then all I have to do is go up to the door handle and grab it. It's gonna automatically unlock, and we can check out this interior. This particular spec has a black leather interior with blue stitching as well as a cool aluminum colored accent all throughout. If we go ahead and take a look at the door panel now, it's finished off in black. You can see all the blue stitching running down it, which has a really cool sporty design. You get the black leather in the center with a little bit of padding for your armrest, as well as a grab handle up here. We have memory seating, your window controls and mirror controls, then some aluminum color for your release handle, and then lock and unlock. There's a trunk release button and then a little bit of storage down below. And then moving inside, we have an aluminum door sill with the M logo, and then all the power controls for the seat are on the left side. You can see the bolster control as well as lumbar support, all the different controls. Then you can see these bolsters on the lower portion with all the blue stitching. We have a manual lever right here to make this open up for an added leg rest. And I really love all the stitching you get. That looks super cool, not only in blue, but the actual design looks very sporty. Making our way up the back, you do get a little spot with the M colors, and then more of the stitching all the way up the backrest to the headrest. Then spinning around, we get a black leather steering wheel with silver accents. And then now on the inside, keeping my foot on the brake, we can go ahead and fire it up. Taking a look at the gauge cluster now, we have a full LCD display. You can see M440i up top, then we get your fuel level to the far left, and then engine temperature on the right. In this current setting, you can see your MPG over on the right side with your battery indicator and your speedometer to the left. You also get navigation right in the center. If you toggle the BC icon over on this left stalk, it'll change the information that comes up over on the right side of the screen. You can see everything that'll come up, horsepower and torque gauge, a G meter. And then if I go down to the center console, we have your different drive modes. We have comfort and then a sport mode. You'll see how everything changes in the gauge cluster. Hitting the comfort icon, it gets more to a traditional setup, and then the sport icon, it gets a little bit more sporty looking, and that's when that exhaust valve opened up to be a little bit louder. And then moving to the steering wheel now, you can see the leather on the airbag with some stitching, then all the cruise control settings to the left, Bluetooth and audio to the right, heated steering wheel in the center. We get a set of steering wheel mounted paddle shifters that have a pretty good look and feel. They are plastic, but they are about 3 inches, so they have a pretty cool design. To the left of the steering wheel, we have one of the air vents as well as all of the headlight controls and then a little bit of ambient lighting. We have more of that blue stitching running across the dashboard as well as a heads-up display right in the center. I really like that blue accent. It's definitely pretty sweet, and there is some cool contours within the dash and more of this aluminum colored design. If we move to the center now, the infotainment screen is super HD. We have the navigation screen right now, very easy to use. We have a shortcut for home over on this far left side, and we can scroll through all the different shortcuts for your media icon. Everything will come up. Go back to the home. We have communication for all of your phone integration, the navigation, and then in the car, we have a few more things that'll come up, driver profile, all these settings. Then we have an apps icon as well with Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, then a few more things that'll come up. If I go ahead and take the shifter now and push us into reverse, you're going to see the standard backup camera come up to the left with all of your guidelines. Parking sensors are going to come up over on the right. And if I toggle this, you can change a few more settings within that. And then if I just press the P button, we're back into park. You can also control the screen using the rotary dial down below. We have all your shortcuts around it, and you can rotate this. You can also bump it left, right, up, and down. We have a back button. So using this, I can just tap the map icon down here, home, and you can see how usable everything is using the rotary dial, which is really cool. Below the screen now, we have all the climate control settings. You see an LCD screen right in the center where you can see the fan speed as well as the dual zone temperature. You can easily tap that to change everything, your different zones, heated seats, as well as all the defrost, a few more air conditioning controls. And then if I go ahead and tap this button right here, all these safety settings come up within the car. You can configure them for the forward collision, lane departure, steering wheel intervention, and blind spot. So you do have a lot of safety settings that are in the 4 Series. And then beneath that, we do get your radio volume, as well as some of the presets for the radio, as well as a track button over on the right. And then taking a look at the center console now, we can open up this. We get 2 cup holders in here, as well as a USB port and a 12 volt, and a nice storage area for your cell phone. Then you have your traction control, a shortcut for your parking sensors, all of the different drive modes, and the electronic parking brake. And then right in the center, we have your black leather on the armrest with more of this blue stitching. Grabbing this handle, we can open it up, and we have a pretty good amount of space in here, as you would expect. And then over to the right, if we grab the glove box handle, we can open that, and we have a pretty normal amount of space in there for quite a lot of items. And then one last look at this interior. I especially like the black with all the blue stitching. I think it's very sporty. This is obviously not an M4, but this is pretty much the top of the line 4 Series with all these sporty aspects. Up top, we do get a sunroof, and you can see the black sunshade closed in the position right now. And then we get all the LED dome lights as well as the controls for the sunroof. The M440i also does have back seats. There's a handle on the back side of the driver's seat. You can lift that and the seat's gonna automatically slide out of the way to give you more room. Back here we have the same blue stitching and black leather. It has a really nice sporty design back here. And then sitting in the back of this 4 Series now, I'm 5'11". This is actually a usable back seat. I'm sitting here, my head is just barely touching the ceiling. I'm barely hunching over a little bit. You do have a pretty large window on the left and a pretty good amount of glass all back here. If I go ahead and grab this seat and pull it all the way back, it's gonna automatically slide back into the position that it was set at. I did have it set to my height, 5'11", so hopefully it stops perfectly in time. We still have a few inches of knee room here. So again, very practical back here, unlike a lot of other 4-seater two-door cars. On top of that, we have some amenities. I can pull this handle down and we have a nice armrest here with 2 cup holders that'll pop out. And then you can close this back up. You can also grab this handle up top and pull this whole piece down to gain access to the trunk, which is a really cool touch for a smaller car. And then finishing it up back here, we have LED dome lights up top, hooks over on the left and right side, and then climate control vents with different climate control zones and temperatures, and then 2 USB ports. And then moving to the trunk space, you can tap the button on the key fob, the one in the interior, or there is one on the trunk. This will open nicely, and we have quite a lot of storage space in the back of this coupe. You can see a storage net on the left and on the right, and then there's also manual handles we can pull to fold down these rear seats. And with the seats folded down, you can see just how much more storage space we have in the back of this car. They fold nearly flat, and there's a huge opening into the trunk, making this a very usable car. Alright guys, so we are setting off now in the M440i. So I'm a pretty big fan of this car. I like how it's got this engine and drivetrain and everything. It's kind of like a baby version of an M4. It's not crazy that expensive and with all that kind of power from the twin turbo engine, but you still get what I would assume is going to be a very peppy car. Of course, we're going to get on it just a little bit to feel out the engine. But right now, getting my bearings with the car, the comfort level, this is a great car just to cruise in and to own as a daily driver. Visibility and everything, the mirrors all do a really good job letting you know what's going on behind you. And if you look over your left and right shoulders, there's not really any blind spots. That huge skinny rear window there, it's pretty long, so it actually goes backwards quite a bit to where you don't really have any blind spots looking over your left and right shoulder. That's a nice touch. Rear view also does a good job. The steering wheel, I love how thick it is. It gives you a nice performance feeling, and these seats are pretty comfortable. Armrests are in a great place, and of course you have all the different controls to really get this into a nice comfy position. I love the leg rest as well. It's a nice little touch, but really cool car to cruise in right now. We have all the safety technology, the infotainment technology that you're going to expect in a car like this, and it's all very user friendly. I also like how with the adaptive cruise control, it has the luxuries you're going to want in a BMW and in a car that's this price tag. And then as far as the fun factor, we're in the Eco Pro mode right now. It's pretty quiet. You don't really hear too much exhaust. I give it a little bit of gas. It's got a very delayed throttle response in this position, and it is cool though when you hit the brakes. I believe this car has the mild hybrid system. You can see on the gauge here, the MPG gauge goes all the way up, and then it looks like it's charging the battery. So it's a cool system that we have for this car. Road noise and wind noise as it just drives slowly, very comfortable in here. You can tell it's a sporty car with more of a firm feeling. It's not just a soft, like a basic 3 Series or something. So you can totally tell that with this. So with that said, let's put us into the manual mode. Already it gets a little bit more aggressive, but we'll go right into sport mode. The exhaust got quite a lot louder. You already heard that in the rev. And the throttle response is where it gets much sharper comparing it to the basic mode. But in this mode, everything tightens up. I believe we have the active suspension. The steering is much stiffer. So it's nice how with this car, you get all the fun factor of a nice performance car, but it can still tone down to be a pretty normal to drive vehicle. I really like that aspect. As far as the more fun driving, we have a pretty sharp turn up here. We have the bigger brakes than your basic 4 Series. And we do have some weight to this. This isn't the lightest thing ever. Brakes do a really good job. And then nice and flat coming out of the turn. I will say once 2020 hit, the cars got a little bit quieter compared to the previous generations. I owned a 2020 Supra, and that year for the B50 engines, these things made some noise. A lot of pops on the exhaust. We'll do a little bit harder acceleration pulling back out, but it still does make some good noises. Suspension is way firmer, wow. and same with the steering. So this car is kind of like getting the Toyota Supra, but with back seats. So it's a cool blend to get. We'll do one acceleration. You just get a barely slight pop when you let off the gas. Nothing between shifts. I think they took that away. I think not everybody liked the little noises it made in between shifts from this engine. But nice and snappy transmission. Flatten the turns. Yeah, very cool car to drive. I like the blend. I really like cars that can do more than just one thing. And this car, being the M440i versus just a basic 430 or just a normal 4 Series Coupe, you know, this has that fun to drive aspect where you can toss it around and play with it. And it looks really sharp. It looks like a sports car. It looks like a sporty, cool coupe. And then it's nice how Eco Pro back to normal mode and, you know, using cruise control and things like that. And we're now in a much softer car. There's a lot of body roll now that we're in the eco mode, and the steering is super lightweight. Wow. I like the differences, and it's cool how if you compare this to an M4, they both have some similarities. We'll go back into comfort mode as we cruise back to the dealership, kind of feel it out in the normal drive mode. So letting it shift in automatic. Has a nice tone to it. I would assume most of that is just the speaker noise playing the cool sounds, but from the outside there is a noticeable difference. So I like the aspects of this car having the two things, you know, the comfort mode and then the sport side of it. So that's pretty sweet. As far as back to normal driving in it, it seems like a nice solid car. One thing I've noticed with BMWs, they are very solid feeling cars. There's no loose ends. It feels just really nice. So I think that's about it then for the M440i. Really cool spec. I love the fully loaded one like this, especially with the carbon fiber and the bigger engine being the 440. This is the way to go for sure. If you guys enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for plenty more content to come. And then once again, huge shout out and thank you to Hendrick BMW Northlake for providing this BMW for today's video. Check them out. So that's it, guys. I will see you next video.